Hello, everyone. This is Gil Lowe, and I have really powerful women from the Veeam channel actually really live here. And we want to kind of go around the robin and really help you understand how we can give you career advice from the top Veeam women of the channel. Hello, ladies. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Good.
Great.
Hi.
Fantastic. So we got people from around the world. It's 11, it's 12 during the day, and it's 12 midnight for some people on this call. So we appreciate you all being on, especially at the end of the month. So first person I want to introduce, we have Erika Irby. Raise your hand, Erika, so they know who you are. There we go. Erika Irby has over 9 years of experience in the channel. In addition to pretending to be a writer and a side hustler, Erika is currently the director of worldwide VAR and distribution programs at Veeam Software, and she is also recipient of the TRN Top 2020 Women of the Channel. Erika, name one word that describes you, Erika.
I would say motivated.
Motivated. I like that. I like that. Thanks for joining us today. Next, we have Sara Wilson. Sara, raise your hand. There's Sara Wilson. All right. So Sara is the director of partner sales for Latin America, and she has over 16 years of channel experience in worldwide channel organizations. She's trilingual in Spanish, Portuguese, and English, and she holds different degrees in speech communication and Spanish from the University of Georgia. And you are currently in Atlanta right now, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So tell me, what's one word that describes you, Sara?
I would say similar to Erika's word, but my word would be ambitious.
Ambitious. Okay. So we got motivated and ambitious. Love it. All right. Next on the board, we have Lindsey Legacki. Over 7 years of channel experience, manager of partner marketing for North America. Lindsey, you've been in this for more than 10 years. You've been managing multiple partner programs for Veeam North America. What's one word that really describes you?
I would have to say driven.
Driven. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Motivated, ambitious, and driven. I love it, Lindsey. And where are you located? What time is it where you are?
I'm actually in Scotland. That's where my husband is. And it is 5 o'clock. We're only 5 hours ahead, so not as bad as midnight.
5 o'clock. I knew you were somewhere far away.
5 o'clock.
Thank you for joining. All right, next we have Belinda Jurisic. Belinda, raise your hand.
Hey guys.
All right. Belinda is joining us from Singapore, and it is midnight there. So we thank you for keeping the party alive for us. Appreciate that, Belinda. But you have over 26 years of channel experience, been at Veeam for 9 years. You've had, very successful channel runs at Compaq, HP Compaq, Citrix before joining Veeam. What's one word that describes you?
I'd say passionate.
Passionate. Okay, love it. And then last but not least, we have Dangvy Keller, Vice President of Americas for Distribution Sales, also a CRN Power 100 person, and you have 19 plus years in the channel. So you've had multiple experiences through HPE, managing distribution, nimble storage integrations. So what's one word that describes you, Dangvy?
I'm going to go with determined.
Determined. Okay, we got some really powerful words there. All right, ladies. So what is the IT channel? For those people that are kind of coming up, there's a lot of new people, a lot of new graduates recently. What is the channel? And you can think about the channel, the IT channel that is. It's really it's a part of distribution. It's channel partners. It's really having a product, whether it be hardware, software, services that you can deliver through partners, and then they deliver to their end users. And it's, of course, Veeam makes it profitable. We make sure they're protected, and we make sure that a product is really good and easy to sell, right? So I guess question number one for the panel is, how do you define channel success? I'll start with Sara. What do you think? How do you define channel success, Sara?
So channel success to me is being able for the partner to be profitable, to be satisfied working with the vendor, and ultimately delivering a solution to the end user that the end user loves to work with and wants to keep expanding their business.
Okay, great. And for everyone that's on the live chat, if you have questions about the channel or you have best practices, submit your questions. We will definitely take some questions live here on air. You know what? I'll go, Erika, to you next. How do you define channel success?
So to add on to Sara, I think that a true success metric is when your partners plan on you for their long-term strategy. So we recently ran a survey, for example, and we had a response where a partner said, sometimes I can actually make a teeny bit more money on these more expensive products, but when it really comes down to it, they recommend Veeam over and over again because the trust of that customer and their long-term belief in us as a foundation of their business, that was much more important to them. So to me, the fact that we're, a piece of their plan, not just for that little promotion, but for the long term, for their customer, and then for their business, I think that's a true sign of success.
Huge.
I was going to add, Gil, just that it's the validation from the partners, right? To Erika's and Sara's point, is really being able to be recognized as that go-to supplier from a partnership perspective and creating that trust and loyalty, which I think, Veeam has done a phenomenal job given that we're 100% channel. So I think that, when I go meet with partners and I'm in meetings and they share with us that, hey, we really look at Veeam as a best practice as far as our strategy, our go-to-market and our program from a channel perspective. I think that's huge. And that's what I think of when I think of successful channel programs.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, ladies. Me personally, I think, you hit it right on it. It's about trust. It's about ease of use. It's about simplicity. And I think that's, some of the huge points to a successful channel. Okay. So in this new work from home environment, right, how do you adapt your channel programs to meet your 2020 goals? Lindsey, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I think it's perfect too, being in marketing and not even just working from home, but with everything going on, the cancellation of live events, hit our department huge. And I know that it just forced everyone to have to adapt their marketing strategy. And also it was important for us to get our partners on board as well. And something that we've always tried to push with our partners is making the shift to digital, but now more than ever, partners are having to do that. And it became very real for them. But it was a great opportunity for them to start leveraging our digital marketing platform, which we call the Marketing Center.
Right.
And partners actually have access to things like co-branded campaigns, emails, landing pages, banner ads, you name it, we have it. And we also offer partners one-on-one marketing support to help them actually execute on these campaigns and get launched. And we've seen engagement with this platform at its highest it's ever been. So it's really great. And again, everyone's just having to make that switch.
Right. We had to really switch and adapt, right? I mean, I've seen so many different events. I mean, we just had Darius Rucker last night doing a live concert. We've done wine tasting. We've done pokers, so many different events out there. But, you have to adapt with the times. And I think as a channel, we're doing that well. And for those of you that are channel partners out there, in the world, I mean, you just got to really roll with the punches and see what's going to work. Because for a while there, happy hours, we were doing happy hours with our partners and with customers. And then if you didn't have something that kept the tension, after the first 5 minutes of making a few drinks, you were done. So you got to keep that attention on these different types of events. Any other insight from you ladies? Any way you're adapting?
Add that it's a great time for our channel partners also to focus on enablement. And we've been doing a lot of that in our region in Latin America because usually it's so hard to get all of our partners between all their various customer visits and travel. It's hard for us to get all of our partners into, webinars for trainings at the same time. But that has become increasingly easier to get them on the calendar. And we've been driving up certifications like crazy. We've been offering incentives for our certifications as well. And partners have been making a good use of that time in order to get their certs done and do all kinds of different enablement. And we've been trying to keep it fun too. I mean, we've had webinars with, we have live DJs occasionally, in an intermission. And we have some other cool ideas coming up with some panels with customers. So same thing, just trying to keep it fun and entertaining so that we maintain the interest level.
That's really good. That's really good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, just to add, I mean, digital marketing is becoming extremely important. Enablement is kind of a focus right now for a lot of partners. And and other suppliers as well. But I would say, just from a product and just a business aspect, partners are transforming their business quickly right now to ensure that they remain profitable and relevant, right? And so I think as a supplier, when we look at Veeam's offering, there's a shift right now to cloud and subscription. And I think that's been huge for our partner base, right? And so as they continue to look at new ways of doing business and changing their business model, I think that, suppliers that have that offering that can enable and help them in that transformation is going to be huge.
Okay. So here's the thing. I have a question from the worldwide audience. As you've taken, this is from Shiva. As you have taken on new roles and regions, what advice would you give folks to starting in the channel?
Do I have to take that because that's my
Yes,
boss?
Belinda.
I was waiting for you to comment.
I think Lindsey was about to go for it. So.
I didn't know if I was going to say anything. I'll let you go for it.
So it's interesting because one of the questions that Gil and I talked about was actually around giving advice to people coming into partner manager roles, and it's not too dissimilar to coming into regional roles as well. I really think that my advice to anyone going into channel for the first time or to moving into a new region or whatever the change could be is really understand the fundamentals of your partner's business. When I hate to think that you talked about how long everyone's been in the channel, and I was the oldest. It's really sad. But one of the things that happened when I was a channel manager was we really understood the financial modeling of our partners. And that really gave you the foundations of understanding how a partner's business works and being able to understand that. And then also searching out to understand how that works in distribution. If you have opportunities to work in different parts of the channel as well. So I've worked in a reseller and distributor and vendor, and just having that exposure, and now the fantastic exposure we can get to service providers, and really understanding the partners that are building a service provider model and the partners today that are working with us and thinking about, well, how do I set up that practice? So I think really understanding the full partner landscape. And then I would also say you have to look beyond beyond just the channel you work in as well. You have to think about the economic environment you work in, the political environment, the health, everything that's going on around, and really understand. If you know about your channel and if you know about their business, then you'll understand how these things can impact them, which means that, we can adapt our business really quickly when a pandemic, which none of us saw coming, we can actually adapt it quite quickly because we understand our business and we understand our partner's business very well.
Thank you. That was an amazing answer. Lindsey, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and it's kind of along the same lines of kind of going outside of your comfort zone, outside of the channel, but don't be shy about going outside of your typical job description. I think it gives you the opportunity to work with other people you may not have worked with before, but also learn different parts of the business that do affect the channel. But and actually getting involved in that, you see how it affects the channel. So yeah, so I was going to say.
So I'm going to put a little twist on that question that we got from the world, from Shiva. And I'm going to say, what career tips or words of wisdom would you give to a female channel or partner manager out there as they grow their career? A little twist.
I think so. This is something that we talk a lot about with Women in Green, and Lindsey actually already kind of hit it on the head. But the first thing I would say is be open to every opportunity, especially the ones that at first glance they do not look easy or they do not fit into your perception of how you're going to grow. Because every opportunity will teach you something, and it'll also build your skill in a way that you may not realize that you need. And sometimes we find that we're not getting promoted because there's or we're not growing because there's a piece that we're missing, and maybe it's like a financial acumen or a strategic acumen or relationship building, or there's something that you may not have nailed yet. And sometimes you have to do another job to get that skill. And so I would just say, definitely take those opportunities and then surround yourself with people who are positive about their about their job and about their growth. To kind of what Belinda was, saying, right now things are not ideal, but those people that are saying this is a great opportunity to grow, this is a great opportunity to make magic happen and be creative and learn new things and push ourselves, surround yourself with those type of people because they will elevate you.
Amazing. Thank you. Any other words? Dangvy, you were going to say something?
I think that it's my piece of advice, very similar to Erika, but for me, it's just say yes. And unless you're not always going to have your head, heart, and your gut all together at the same time. But if you've got two of them and you say yes and you're actually still feeling okay, then it's the right decision. And I think that they never come when you really plan them to. And so you have to be willing to take a risk and also be very vocal. So, in particular for me, moving from Australia to Singapore, I actually went to Shiver and said, I want to move to Singapore. I didn't sit back and wait to see whether I got the job or not. I said, I want to move to Singapore to do this job. And so very much put out there what you have to be very vocal about what you want.
Amazing. You know what, Dangvy, I'll ask you this question. How does Veeam support and empower women within our organization? Do we have any programs?
Oh, we have a ton of resources. I'd start by, my first sales kickoff at Veeam. I've been with the company for almost 3 years. We had, I remember everybody was in the room and they had all the females stand up in the room. And I would tell you it was more than 50% or about or more than 50% of the people in the room. And that's huge, especially in our industry. And, we're talking about, advice for, those, that are starting their career in the channel and females in our industry, which, it's predominantly male. I would say, make sure that you understand the technology and the business acumen, right? And I think Veeam does all that. We've got Women in Green, which Erika heads up, and it's a phenomenal program that helps support females who want to further their career. Mentoring and having mentees part of that program, getting the business acumen for those associates so that they can further their degree. I mean, I think the resources that we have are pretty, solid from a company perspective.
Yeah, it's amazing. Erika, you want to shed any light on Women in Green? Or
for sure, and I totally agree with Dangvy, and I think that not just Women in Green, but Veeam is really focused on empowering their employees. So, for example, we have another ERG in the Americas for our African heritage folks, and then also specific inclusion and diversity groups in both EMEA and APJ. And so with that, we also have a lot of just content that's available, webinars and speakers and classes and trainings. We're about to start a cultural awareness training. There's all these things that Veeam is really driving to make sure that all of us feel empowered and safe, and we can grow here. Women in Green has been around for about 4 years now, and it is really, I think, a tremendous program. But it's part of a greater initiative, at Veeam that honestly every year just keeps getting better, frankly.
And I wouldn't say, and I want one misconception, and we think this it's all about just women. No, we have men that are involved in this program, mentoring.
Absolutely.
So I like to say that as well too. So that's a good
Absolutely.
one. I got another question from the world. This is actually from Danny Allen. I think we all know who Danny Allen is, a Veeam person within our organization, very important. But his question is how do you balance the different channel needs across the world? That's a good one.
So I'm in a global role, and I will first tell you that I cannot answer that question because obviously I would have no idea how to do everybody's job, but I have learned a tremendous amount about how each region runs their channel. And one of the greatest things that I've seen in recent years is when one region has this amazing, magical idea, and another region takes that idea, tweaks it for their needs, and then just, explodes with it. And I'm finding as I look across, our Veeam universe that we are so much more similar than we are different. But there are some very distinct and important pieces of each of the region's business that are just absolutely crucial, to to their success. So I think from a global perspective, the more that we can do to provide a variety of resources and then empower the regions to take those resources, make them exactly what they need, add to them, come back to us with feedback, tell us what we need to do, and then we can go and utilize the tremendous amount of resources we have at Veeam. And I think that would be really, that is kind of our key to success here, is really, working together as a greater unit, but then making sure that those individual needs are being met.
Yeah, and I was going to say that Veeam does a really great job. I've worked for Latin America, so definitely much different region than US or EMEA or APJ. All of us are different and unique in our own ways, but Veeam does a great job in doing an annual partner satisfaction survey, and they regionalize it. So we're sending out detailed surveys, anonymous, to our partners, all kinds of partners, from distribution, alliances, system integrators, resellers, cloud providers, and they get to provide that feedback firsthand. And our region came out with 88% satisfaction from our partners, which means that Veeam is doing a really good job at taking global programs and making sure that they're flexible and adaptable to meet the needs of the local markets. So I would say that Veeam, being a channel company and having as many partners as we do worldwide, we do a very good job at making sure that the needs of the local partners are met.
Okay.
I think if I can also jump in, because Danny's obviously spent a lot of time in APJ, and one of the best things that Danny always says when he presents in ANZ in particular is he always says New Zealand's ahead, not just in time, but in everything they do. So in our region, we have, New Zealand that has had, a very, very large cloud business for a number of years. And then we have Indonesia, where I have calls that constantly just not enough bandwidth to do much at all. So what I find is we can actually really rely on that best practice of understanding what's happened in countries and learn how have we been able to speed that to market and how we can actually even do that better. So I remember being asked in India, what lesson can the Indian partners learn from the Australian partners? And I said, well, the best part is you actually don't have to go through as much pain, because in the early days of cloud data centers, everyone was buying all their own server and storage and creating their own private clouds and investing lots of money well before anyone was actually willing to consume it. Whereas now we've got markets where they are absolutely very happy to, are going straight to public cloud, and the investment is not as great. So I think that global piece, and even on this group, Sarah and I actually had a long chat my morning, her evening. So we also work to understand each other's business, so we can get best practice across the world.
Amazing. So another question, it's just kind of another career advice question. Is there any podcast that you ladies listen to that help you, further your career or get business strategy or just motivation or inspiration, or any podcast that jump to mind? Anyone?
I do.
So,
I'll just say real quick. And one of them I had always heard about, but kind of got into it actually. One of the women, she spoke at the CRN Women of the Channel event last year in New York. Jen Hyman, she was the founder of Rent the Runway. What a mouthful. And the podcast is called How I Built This, with Guy Raz. It's produced by NPR, but he basically talks to a bunch of different entrepreneurs or those who are behind one of the world's most well-known companies, and kind of how their journey of how they created that company. And after I hear it, I always feel really inspired after, and it's really interesting to hear how much they failed before the business actually became what it is today. And they're really addicting. I always listen to a couple at a time. So
fell forward.
Yeah.
I love that. Fell forward. Erika, you had one? You were on to say?
Oh, my answer probably feels like kind of a cop-out answer, but I do read a lot. I listen to TED Talks and to different podcasts, but honestly, the most inspiration I get from my career is just when I look at other women who have succeeded. So the ladies on this panel are a huge inspiration. The other women at Veeam who were honorees for the Women of the Channel. The other leaders within the industry that are influencers, or that I've met personally at different events. When I look at what they're posting and I look at what they're doing, those things inspire me, because they're a little more real. They're right there in front of me. But I totally agree. I think you really need to read a lot and listen to those TED Talks. And just like Lindsey was saying, it does motivate you and make you think of things in a different way. But also there's a lot of inspiration that's probably like, your eventual cube mate or the person you used to work next to, right there next to you.
Yeah, I definitely will say that, we're first of all, we're so lucky to have the 6 women on that we have today, but we did have 10 women that were nominated in Veeam to be top 2020 of the channel. So congrats to all those women. I think we put those people up on the screen now. So that's amazing. Okay, we got a few more minutes left. I want to hit on one more thing, right? So how have you personally helped enhance the channel program at Veeam? Any 2 people want to take that?
Well, I think from my perspective, I think, coming in and taking a look at, the value that our distributors provide, and really pushing them to focus more where we don't have coverage, right? And enabling those distribution-led partners, so the silver and register partners, driving more volume and velocity. And then I also have responsibility for alliance sales. And so that's been kind of added on for this year. But it's taught me that we have so much to leverage with our alliance partners. So working in collaboration with HPE, Cisco, Lenovo, NetApp, Microsoft, VMware, to make sure that, Veeam continues to penetrate all segments, I think has been huge. And in essence, that comes back to our partners, right? Building that pipeline and those opportunities and making sure that we work through them, since we continue to be 100% channel.
Amazing.
And I was going to say, from my perspective, recently I participated in a committee that was a little bit of my idea to revamp our deal registration training internally. So, us that work in the channel, we're very familiar with how deal reg works, the benefits, the rules of engagement, so to speak. But the wider sales organization sometimes needs a refresh. So we did a big internal refresh on deal registration training for all Americas. And I think that's going to benefit greatly our partners, just having that consistency across the whole region of Americas, and knowing what to expect. Partners want to know that every time they engage with us, that it's predictable, profitable, easy, engaging, and deal registration is a huge component of that.
Amazing. So I will, with the last 2 minutes of this, I want to first of all say thank you, ladies. It's been great. Yeah, you provide a wealth of information to the world, and any female executive or anyone wanting to go into the channel, they've got a better understanding of that. And you ladies are doing a fantastic job at Veeam, and I definitely commend you all, and the other 4 that were unable to be on our call. But I will say this: Veeam has adapted. Okay, so we've adapted, and we have something coming up. On June 17th and June 18th. It's the 6th year of Veeam On, but of course we're going digital. So Veeam On virtual on June 16th June 17th and 18th. We're going to have a Veeamathon. There's going to be chat rooms. Ask any questions about our version 10. Maybe even version 11 of Veeam software. And we have a special guest, musical artist. So we had. We had Darius Rucker last night with some of our people, but we're going to keep that country theme, and we're going to move on to Keith Urban is going to be live and in concert digitally for Veeam On. So definitely, it's free to join Veeam On 2020, and let us know if you have any questions. But thank you all for joining, and if there's any questions, just comment, and we'll come back to you on the comments on LinkedIn. All right?
Thank you, Gil.
Thank you.
Amazing. Happy Friday.
Happy Saturday. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.